Show. Welcome to the Bodkins Show. I am that dude, as always, Bodkins. Emergency podcast is started. That's right. We are diving right into it, folks. Holy shit. I had to get on here, talk first thing in the morning of all this NBA news. I mean, what a wild day in the NBA as day one. This is only day one of NBA free agency, and some of the big chips haven't even fallen yet. But I had to get on here because I'll never remember everybody where they went, and it would just take up too much of the weekly show. And we're also going to be talking about it, I'm sure, on a lot of other things. So, but we got to talk about it right now. So the biggest news, we'll start off kind of as the day went. And let's back up a little bit. I don't know if I talked about it yesterday on the week or Wednesday's weekly show, but Russ Westbrook drops in for 41 million. And then also James Harden and Bradley Beal opt out of their player options. Will and it don't worry, folks, those two guys aren't going anywhere. James Harden's gonna re-sign with the 76ers. I talked about it on the Let's Talk Sports yesterday. If you missed out, tune into that one. But I don't want any part of James Harden if I'm the 76ers, but they're going to get a deal done there. It'll probably be not the max deal, not what he was going to make, because they could sign him to, like, I believe the super max, super duper max. But he opt out of his contract. They're going to work out a deal so he can bring in some, they can get some more players. But if that was the James Harden that they're going to show, that he showed in the playoffs, I want zero part of that James Harden. James Harden looks old, fat, and out of shape, folks. Uh, he doesn't even look like he was the second best player at times on that 76ers team. And that's what they brought him in there to do. Take a little bit of hopefully he takes I think he's hopefully reading the room, takes a bit of a contract cut, and we'll go from there, with the 76ers. That deal's yet to be made. They're going to meet over the weekend. They expect the deal to be done there over this weekend, over the 4th. Got to have my coffee. Hopefully everybody's drinking their coffee first thing in the morning here. But so that kind of opens up the James Harden. That's the James Harden deal. We already talked about Kyrie opted in and his $32 million player option. But this is where it gets tricky. One day, Bradley Beal, I mentioned him earlier. He's already signing like 5-year, 200 and some odd million deal with the Wizards. That deal gets done. They're the ones that could offer him the most money. Let me look to see what that deal was, folks. So, I know it was 5 years, 200. I think it was 275 or something like that. So, I mean, that deal was pretty much done last night. Bradley Beal's going to stay with the Wizards. But let's get to the bigger news here. Oh, also yesterday, before we get into the big news, it happened. The Spurs traded DeJounte Murray to Atlanta for Danilo Gallinari and 3 first-round picks. This is a huge win for the Spurs. Look, DeJounte Murray is a good fucking player, y'all, but he's not going to lead the Spurs to the NBA Finals. He's not going to be the key guy. He's not that generational talent. So why not? The Spurs know that, hey, they're not going to compete for a little bit. Pop's making the smart move. They're going to retool, reload. I mean, not even retool. It's like a whole rebuild. They've been bouncing around that, bottom seed for a while. I think they made the playoffs 1 year in the last couple of years, but Pop's looking at the landscape, knows that the team's not going to win the finals anytime soon. So he is now, dismantling that team. Trades Murray to the Hawks. I mean, for the Hawks, you get a good backcourt with Trey Lance, or not Trey Lance, wrong sport. Trae Young, Ice Trey, as the kids call him. But Young's not gonna. I mean, that team, are they any better than some of these other teams in the East? Did that DeJounte Murray make them the best team in the East? No, they're still building. And to trade 3 first round picks, that is a wild deal. Um, so I like the trade for the Spurs. I think that Murray's going to help the Hawks, but they're going to have to add, and then you can't even add through the draft because you just traded your next 3 first round picks. Maybe they'll sign some people. So that was kind of the first big trade of the offseason. And I liked it for the Spurs aspect, getting some prospects in, rebuilding, knowing that they're not going to make a run anytime soon. So trade some guys, get some big picks. There looks like Danilo Gallinari is going to get a buyout option, and they'll buy him out, and Gallinari will be a free agent. So then that was the biggest trade so far. And I mean so far, folks, because one day after Kyrie Irving opts into his contract, and it looks like they're going to run KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, and Brooklyn next year, KD, Kevin Durant, has now officially asked for a trade. All intents and purposes, Brooklyn tends to honor that trade. They all tend to work out a deal and trade. That's right. Kevin Durant wants to be traded out of Brooklyn. Now, there's multiple reports. Multiple reports are saying he wants to stick with Kyrie. Multiple reports are saying he's saying, get me the fuck out of here, which is very likely. I wouldn't want to play with Kyrie. We saw that mess. We saw Kyrie did Kevin dirty multiple times. But KD is now. Hold on a second. Right now, KD is asking for a trade. There's multiple reports. Boston is in. What would a trade look like for KD to Boston? KD would, to Boston. I mean, you have to look at possibly trading, Tatum or Brown. I would probably trade if you could trade either one for KD and maybe Marcus Smart and a shitload of picks. I mean, if Devontae Murray can add 3 picks, now obviously you're going to get a good, decent sized player in the back end, but 3 first round picks for a guy like Deontay Murray, who's not even as good as not even half as good as KD. I mean, good ball player, but he's no KD. He's no top 5 player in the NBA, and he's getting 3 first round picks. What kind of picks you going to have to give up for Murray? So there's that. There's those rumors. I would think for Boston have to trade for KD. Like I said, it's gonna be and then maybe throw in Marcus Smart and a bunch of picks. And then you leave KD and then either Brown or Tatum or I mean KD and Brown or KD and Tatum. I would trade if I'm the Brooklyn. I'm probably trying to trade for Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown showed that he could be a hell of a fucking number 2, and he's a pretty damn good ball player. Free up some little bit of space too for the Celtics. Be able to catch up on some things. KD's also, so it's also been linked to the Heat. I like that trade. Jimmy Butler and KD together, along with Kyle Lowry. They would probably look to trade Bam Adebayo. If they don't trade Bam Adebayo, they would have to trade Bam Adebayo in that deal. That's what the Brooklyn's looking for. So we could look at that trade. It looks like Bam. They would have to trade probably Bam, Tyler Hero, and maybe somebody else in a couple picks. I think Pat Riley would love that deal. And then because then they just re-signed Oladipo yesterday into a 1-year deal. So now you look at you could have Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, and Kevin Durant. That's a hell of a fucking team. That's a hell of a starting 4, starting 5. And then you just add in the pieces later. But yeah, and then you trade Hero and Bam. That would free up some money for the Heat to acquire KD, and not some bad pieces there. If you're Brooklyn, Hero's a good ball player. Bam's a good ball player, and then you just get a shit ton of picks if you're Brooklyn. And who knows what they're going to do with Kyrie. So also, it looked like the Suns. It was reported that Suns won in on Kevin Durant, but they said it would have to be Devin Booker in that trade. But Devin Booker, the Suns said, ain't no fucking way that's happening, because they signed. Hold on once. Ain't no way that's happening, because they just brought in. They got Devin Booker. We're gonna give out his contract deals here to the Devin Booker. They finalized a 4-year, $214 million supermax contract extension. And Devin Booker will be on the cover athlete of NBA 2K23. That was all released yesterday. So the Suns said, hey, we ain't losing Devin Booker. Maybe they do a sign and trade deal. They sign Ayton to a supermax, a max deal, and then they trade for Kevin Durant. I could see that. So we got some comments here. Kenny Miller says all speculations Lowry has to go with Bam for KD. That's probably true. He said Oladipo played great in the playoffs. Yeah, that's why I like Oladipo. He stayed the 1 year there deal with the Heat. Now it looks like he's 100% healthy, back from his injuries. He looked really good in the playoffs. Now you give it another run. You could add KD in that, and then he says Kyrie rumored to be forcing his way to the Lakers. So that kind of, we're still staying with this Brooklyn point here. Absolutely. I like that. It's rumored they've been linked to each other since day one. It looked like Kyrie was even going to opt out and maybe go there. But the problem with the Lakers is they could only add Kyrie at $6 million. $31 million, $6 million. $31 million, $6 million. I don't know. $31 million is a lot more. They'd have to somehow trade and make clear that. And the only person that they could trade is Russell Westbrook and his $41 million. I love Russell Westbrook. Always had, been a fan of his, but he's not, at this point in time in his career, $41 million is too much money for Russ Westbrook. It just is. Kyrie Irving is the better player when he's healthy and when he's on the court. The question is when. The best ability is availability, and I like Russ's availability. He's going to give it to you every night, 82 games if he could. He ain't going to shoot worth a damn dick, but he's going to get to the hole. He's still going to average close to a triple double. Still can't shoot. Never been a great shooter, but he's a playmaker. Maybe you try to make a deal there. Kitty's also said Kyrie option is 41 or 47 million. Neither dude worth what they are going to make. You're trading expiring. That's true. I mean, that's true. You would trade bad deals. Maybe both teams want to make that deal to get out of their situations. I'm either one of them. I'll take Kyrie over Russ, but Kyrie just never plays. I mean, we know that. Russ, when he's only been hurt like once or twice in his career. Other than that, he brings it every night. He brings the intensity. He brings his what he can do every night. The thing is, he's just limited at this point in time of his career. He's never been a great shooter, never been a great 3-point shooter, never will be a great 3-point shooter. I mean, I'm sure he's practicing right now, but there's a reason they always called him Russ Westbrook. But I love him. Guy can get you a triple double. He got a lot of heart, but not at 41 million. Not at 41 million. So I mean, there's just a lot of rumors here with the KD situation. That'll be, I'm sure. I don't know if we'll get to that over, you know, Kitty also adds, we know what LeBron and Kyrie look like together. It's much better than Russ and LeBron looks like. Absolutely. That's because Kyrie's a shooter. He can and he can create his plays and things like that. He's also, can play off the ball where Russ and LeBron, I've said this since day one, that they have similar games. They both have to have the ball in their hand. LeBron's a little bit better, obviously a better three-point shooter, but that's something that you can't ask Russ to do. Russ is a guy that gets to the basket and kicks out and gets his assists that way. You have to supply both of them with shooters. Well, you can't put them on the floor at the same time because both of them have this similar game. Get to the basket, kick out, find the open guy, wait for the defense collapses. So if you got them both out there, who's going to kick out to? You're only kicking out to three guys. Just stay home. You can play off of both of them a little bit. And force them to shoot the three. So I do like the LeBron and Kyrie. The question is, does LeBron like LeBron like the Kyrie and LeBron tandem better than he likes the Russ tandem? Him and Russ didn't play a whole lot last year together. It is what it was in LA last season. Oh, almost went down the wrong pipe there. So that was kind of the two bigger stories. We still got way more stories to get into, folks. So we talked a little bit. We talked to Devin Booker, Jalen Brunson, and I talked about this on my show the other morning. He did sign his 4-year, nearly $110 million deal with the New York Knicks. He's getting overpaid again. Oh, Kenny says, LeBron rumored to be forcing the trade as much as Kyrie. They want each other back. Hey, well, I guess when you grow apart, the heart grows fonder, whatever that saying is there. But yeah, Brunson to the Knicks is a done deal. Rumor is that he didn't even meet with the Mavericks. It was a done deal day one of NBA free agency. He wanted to go back to New York, wanted to get paid, got his money. Here's the thing, New York. Jalen Brunson's not going to lead you to the NBA Finals. Jalen Brunson isn't going to be an all-star caliber guy that's going to be the number one guy that's going to take you after 70 years of not making it to the NBA Finals and get you to the NBA Finals and win it. Patrick Ewing couldn't even do that, much less Jalen Brunson. And you're going to give him 4 years, $110 million. If I was him, I'd have stayed in Dallas. I said it the other day. I'd have stayed in Dallas if I'm Jalen Brunson. He says it wasn't a done deal day one. I read that it was a done deal that Dallas did. He'd even meet with Dallas is what I read. So maybe Kitty's got a little bit more Dallas Maverick insider there, but from everything I've read is that he didn't even meet with Dallas. He didn't pick up the phone for your boy Mark Cuban. He was New York or bust, and he's headed to New York. If I was him, I'd have stayed in Dallas. You get to be the number 2 to number 3 option to Luka Doncic, the player that is the generational talent player that's going to lead the Mavericks deep into the playoffs every year and hopefully to an NBA championship. So they missed out. Jalen Brunson headed to New York. To be what? To be the number 10th seed again in the East. They were dead last in the East. Does this make the Knicks so much better, folks? All you New York fans out there? Probably not. Him and Julius Randle going to lead you to the promised land? Probably not. Are they still the top 5 team in the East? Nope. Maybe a playoff team if you're lucky. Maybe a playoff team. So Brunson gets his 4-year deal. The Spurs, they pulled a quality. So the Spurs continue. We talked about them trading He added Knicks fans not happy about the contract either. Well, that's what happens when family deals get done. I mean, his dad or somebody, he's somehow linked to New York. He's got some family that's in the front office or something. That's what happens when family, you got the good old boy family hometown hero welcoming. We talked a little about the Spurs and Dejounte Murray. So they also pulled a qualifying offer on Lonnie Walker the fourth, and he became an unrestricted free agent. He signs a 1-year deal to the Lakers. So the Lakers adding a nice bench piece / maybe a starter there for the Lakers, get some young youth because, I mean, their 80-year-old lineup, the 2005-6 All-Star team that they ran out there last year, didn't work out so well for the Lakers. Now they got a new coach. They're going to add in Lonnie Walker. Let's see. We talked about them adding Kyrie. If that deal gets done or not, we'll see. That Brooklyn situation. Are they blowing it up? Is one of them going to stay? Is Kyrie staying? Looks like KD's getting traded still. We're just going to roll through the tweets of Shams here and kind of talk about each of them. Nikola Jokic, the Joker, 2-time MVP, agreed to a 5-year, $264 million Supermax contract extension, the richest deal in NBA history yesterday. He'll have his 5th season, will be at a player option at $60 million. So the Joker got paid, y'all. If I would have told you 5 years ago that Nikola Jokic would have the highest contract in the NBA history, you probably would have said, who? And there's no fucking way. I still don't. I mean, good for the Joker. I mean, it's a 2-time MVP. You could have gave that to Giannis this year or even Embiid. I've always liked the Joker, but I mean, he's going to get paid now. He's got the money. He is a hell of a basketball player. I like him and Murray coming back next year, along with Porter, who's been hurt. They'll have a nice team. Remember a couple years ago, they were like the 1 seed in the West. They're going to be a top 2 or 3 team when healthy. Kenny says the Nuggets are still dead. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So we talked about, I forgot to mention this. Speaking of that, we talked about the Mavericks. So they missed out on Brunson. So their big signing of day one, JaVale McGee. That'll make Kenny really happy because now McGee signs. He wanted Rudy Gobert. Now your starting center is going to be JaVale McGee. But I mean, McGee is a nice ball player. He's turned his bonehead career around. A couple years ago, he probably would have. You looked at him, probably was like, "Wow, that guy is an idiot." But no, I mean, in all seriousness, McGee is a good player. It's a nice pickup for the Mavericks. He says, "Quit acting like he's starting for us." Hey, he might start for no. It's a good pickup whether he's off the bench or he can start for you in some games. I'm not saying he's running out there as your number 5 guy every night, but McGee's a good pickup. Speaking of the Nuggets, they added a good backup center, DeAndre Jordan. I mean, DeAndre Jordan's not what the DeAndre Jordan of like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe 10 years ago when Lob City DeAndre Jordan, but good backup to the Jokic. They added him on a it didn't say, Shams didn't tell me, but he's DeAndre Jordan leaving Brooklyn, headed to, that's how bad Brooklyn's blowing everything up. DeAndre Jordan's left. Andre Drummond signed with the Bulls last night on a 2-year deal. DeAndre Jordan's leaving. Everybody's getting the hell out of Brooklyn. That was, I think most players looked around after that season and said, we got to get the hell up out of here. In Brooklyn, where does it come from there in Brooklyn with all these guys leaving? I mean, is it because Kyrie opted in? Is it Kyrie? Is it the ownership? I don't think it's Steve Nash. Steve Nash just got stuck there last year. After they fired their coach, and I think it was Kenny Atkinson they fired and brought in Steve Nash last year. He was only been there 1 year. So, I mean, who is it? Did they just empower too much there? And all the other players looked around and said, we got to get up out of here. Because now their their side pieces, the side dishes are leaving. DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond, both leaving. Malik Monk signing he's headed to the Kings, where all careers go to die. That in Detroit. Speaking of Detroit, Kemba Walker is looking to get a buyout. I didn't even know Kemba Walker was got traded to Detroit, but Kemba is trying to get a buyout in Detroit. Hopefully, he'll land on his feet somewhere, less pressure on him, and be a nice bench piece. So we talked about that yesterday on Let's Talk Sports. But Malik Monk headed to the Kings. I kind of like that. Kind of like him and his old college roommate De'Aaron Fox together. Plus my boy Keegan Murray. So look out for the Kings. Not saying that they're going to do anything. We've been saying look out for the Kings. I feel like the last 20 years. And but Malik Monk headed there. The Victor Oladipo, we talked about that earlier. Looking up here, it's a 1 year, $11 million deal. I like that deal. So how about PJ Tucker? A lot of teams were in on PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker can still provide a lot of services, a good bench piece. Remember, I mean, he was a huge part of that Bucks championship team. Went to Miami this past year, but he finalized a 3-year, $33 million fully guaranteed deal with the 76ers. Nice pickup for the 76ers. Add some beef to their bench. Add a nice a guy who can shoot. I mean, that corner three is PJ Tucker's guy who can defend well. He does all the great things. He's a perfect bench guy for a championship team. A guy who can get you rebounds. He can guard well. He's going to shoot the three, extend the floor. He's going to do everything he can. He gives it to you every night. Perfect guy for the 76ers as they try to kind of trade and change their culture a little bit from softies to, now they get a little bit of a bully guy there. Enjoying. I like that pickup for the 76ers. And he adds PJ Tucker, great playoff role player. Wish he went elsewhere. Exactly. He says, hook him, PJ Tucker. Kings try to do something as always, just never works out. Exactly. I think the problem with the Kings is when you try to trade everybody, when you try to trade so many people or you hire so many coaches, you bring coaches in and out all the time, you just never establish anything. Different GMs, different coaches. Culture is a big thing, folks. You got to get everybody on the same program. But I love that PJ Tucker to the 76ers. Nice move for the 76ers there, getting PJ Tucker. Malik Monk was a 2-year deal, $19 million to the Kings, so that's nice. How about Bobby Portis? We talked about the Bucks when PJ Tucker was there, but Bobby Portis agrees to a 4-year, $49 million dollar deal to stay in Milwaukee. I mean, those people love Bob. Milwaukee loves them some Bobby Portis, and he's another good bench guy, another guy that can shoot. Has found a nice role. I remember when the Bulls had him, I wasn't too impressed, but I mean, he's found his perfect role there for him and him in Milwaukee. Milwaukee fans love him. He loves Milwaukee. That's the perfect fit. If I was Bobby Portis, he would have stayed there, I think, for even less money. That's the perfect place for him. They love him and he loves them. I remember, they were chanting his name, Bobby, in the NBA Finals and playoffs last year. So, like that nice move for the Bucks. Speaking of the Bucks, they also bringing back Wesley Matthews. He's sticking around. He signed a 1-year deal. So the Bucks trying to just pretty much bring everybody back and healthy. Remember, they probably would have beaten. I think they probably would have beaten the Celtics had Chris Middleton been healthy. But hopefully they can make another nice run. And, they're probably in the NBA Finals this year if healthy. The sad thing is that their second best player got hurt. And when you're losing 20 points a game, you just can't quite get over that. Some small signings. Looks like Dwayne Dedmon has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Heat to return to the Heat. We talked about the Lonnie Walker, the fourth. That's a 1-year, $6.5 million deal. Troy Brown Jr. headed to the Lakers. So, JaVale McGee, this was the deal, Kenny. 3 years, 20 million for JaVale McGee. Not bad. Kevin Knox, former lottery pick of the Knicks, headed to Detroit Pistons, uh, where all careers go to die. I mean, yeah, they'll probably add 8 more power forwards on that team. I mean, really, once Kevin Knox kind of plays the same position as Julius Randle and a couple of those other. Remember that like a couple years ago, they just brought in like a bunch of these power forwards and small forwards. Like it was like everybody plays the same position. They signed them. But Kevin Knox headed now after his short career in New York, headed to Detroit. 2-year, $6 million deal. So he's probably on his last leg. This one was a surprise, and I woke up to this morning. Gary Payton Jr. finalized a 3-year, $28 million deal. Now him and Dame together in the backcourt, or he's going to come off the bench and spell Dame at times. I liked Gary Payton. I thought he was a perfect fit for the Warriors and what they did, as far as perimeter, good perimeter defender. Obviously they got to re-sign a couple other guys, Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, and try to get those guys paid. So they probably couldn't maybe afford the 3-year, $28 million deal. But I was a little surprised to the Blazers there. I thought if I'm a championship caliber team and I need a good, defensive player, a guy who's going to bring some intensity off the bench, Gary Payton Jr. or Gary Payton II, whatever, that would have been a perfect fit. So go to the Blazers, a team that's kind of rebuilding. Maybe they try to make a trade for Kevin Durant. I mean, that's once this deal with KD is going to be the next big chip to fall, him and Kyrie, and what that situation looks like. Then we'll see kind of where other guys are going. Looks like Zach LaVine's going to get the max deal in Chicago. As a Bulls fan, I'm okay with that. I'd like to see him add another piece. Signing a big guy like Andre Drummond, that's somebody that we needed. We needed some interior defense. I mean, everybody's going to try to say, hey, my team wants Kevin Durant. I mean, if the Bulls could do it, we could do it, but I just don't know who we'd have to gut half our team. I mean, who are we going to trade? We're going to trade Zach LaVine, sign him to the max, send him to Brooklyn, Kobe White, Pat Williams for Kevin Durant. How much better are we? Then we just got Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, all teams want KD. Exactly. You're exactly right. Everybody wants KD. He's the top 5 player in the NBA, maybe top 3. When healthy, he's 1 or 2. At times. It'll be interesting. I mean, KD's he's kind of made this bed, folks. I mean, that's the thing. I don't feel bad for KD. Remember he left. They were left the Thunder. We were talking about this the other day. Me and Kenny Miller were talking about it the other day. What if the Thunder win that series a couple years ago when they were up 3-1? Him and Russ go on to the NBA Finals and play LeBron. Maybe LeBron has a couple more rings. Maybe the Thunder win that series. Maybe Russ and KD win one or two together. Maybe we don't see this Warriors dynasty that we've seen, because clearly he never leaves to go to Golden State if they win that series. But he's kind of made this bed. Went to Golden State, caught those 2 rings with them boys, opted out, hitched him and Kyrie to New York, went to Brooklyn, and it just hasn't worked out. I mean, remember when everybody lost their minds? New York was mad as shit. The Knicks were mad as shit because they went to Brooklyn. You might have dodged a bullet, Knicks. Seems like you dodged a cancer bullet there with Kyrie and KD not coming to the Knicks. Not that your teams are much better, but Kenny says, I feel bad for nobody that signs a 5-year deal and demands a trade after 1 year. Exactly. They both made their beds, and they're both laying in them. Brooklyn made its bed. They signed them contracts to them boys. It's time for, I don't know where these 2 guys go and what Brooklyn does. it seems like every time Brooklyn tries these super teams, it never works out. Remember, they traded all them picks a couple years ago for aging Ray Allen, aging Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. I mean aging as in like 45 years old boys. And they just never worked out for either one of them. They didn't work out then when they gave up all them picks, because that's how the Celtics are as good as they are right now, because they traded all those old aging players, took some time, and got those good young players now, and have a core ready to win now. Maybe even trade for KD. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the next few days. But we had to get on here this morning and just kind of catch up everybody and talk about all this crazy news. If anything crazier happens over the weekend, we will be on tomorrow. So this just coming through. New Orleans Pelican stars Zion Williams is nearing a 5-year rookie max contract extension worth up to $231 million. So Zion is sticking around in New Orleans. Just when I was getting ready to hop off of here, folks. Zion sticking around. Yeah, we are going to do the UFC. Oh, yeah. Kenny says pre-show tomorrow, post-show on Sunday. Kenny, can't have post-show when you ain't had the show yet. So, but Pelicans did sign. Yeah, Pelicans are crazy for that, but also in a bad spot. They have to do it, right? He's their guy, and he hasn't been playing. Didn't play at all this year. Hasn't been healthy. I don't think he played too much his rookie season. Didn't play too much his rookie season, but you have to sign him. That's the guy that you drafted. That's the guy that you're building your franchise around. Let's see what he can do. Now you're going to have him, CJ McCollum. That was a playoff team. The Pelicans were a playoff team or close to a playoff team. No, they were a playoff team. And then you have Ingram. They have some nice pieces. Let's see if a healthy, is he fit Zion Williamson back next year? Can he be the Zion that we all thought he could be? A baby-esque, Charles Barkley type, I think. But the game is also not the same as when Charles Barkley typed. I mean, is Zion out there shooting threes? Remember, folks, like you pretty much, if you can't shoot threes in this game, you're very limited anymore. It's not the old style of the NBA where it's big guys back to the basket, get to the rim. It's you can do that, but you also got to be able to shoot the damn ball. And we don't even know if Zion can still do that or if he can do that. It seems like a lifetime ago that he was at Duke, breaking his shoe and breaking out through highlight dunks. It seems like a lifetime ago. It seems ages ago. So we'll see what he can do. Signing that big contract with the Pelicans. I just hope it don't come back and bite the Pelicans in the ass, because right now you could almost say Zion's a bust. You could almost say that Ja Morant was the best player in that draft. I mean, I will say it currently right now, Ja Morant is the best player in that draft. We've seen what he can do. We've seen what he can lead his team to. But Zion sticking around in the Pelicans, sign him. And there's been reports that he didn't want to be there. But look, man, money talks. Money always talks. Can you say not almost? You can and have to say that. Is that talking about Ja Morant being the best player in that draft? Absolutely. Zion was number one, Ja was number two in that draft. And now you almost wish that if you're the Pelicans, you wish you would have took Ja Morant and Zion fell. Hey, the Grizzlies got their guy. They got their franchise guy that's going to lead them deep into the playoffs. We'll see if Zion can do that. It's the book is still open, and they just signed him to a huge contract extension. RJ Barrett looks better as a pro than Zion. Absolutely. I like RJ Barrett. Maybe the Knicks are going to package him in a Kyrie trade. I could see that. I like RJ Barrett. But yeah, absolutely. Out of those three guys, Zion's probably the third best player. Not even, there's probably other guys in that draft if I went deep into it. and could probably tell you they're better, have had better NBA careers right now than Zion Williamson. We don't even know what Zion is yet. He hasn't played long enough. He's too busy drinking Mountain Dew and eating potato chips on his damn couch, and then showing some that he can still dunk. He can still dunk on some teenage kids at the YMCA. I need to know if you can do it in the NBA. And if there was such a rift there between him and the Pelicans, as far as who, whether he should be playing or not, why he can't play, and this and that, then why is he signing this deal? Because money always wins, folks. Follow the money. That's what it comes down to, especially at a young guy, a young 20-year-old, 22-year-old kid like Zion. Somebody offers you that kind of money, another team's going to offer you a couple million less. You're going to take that money. That's life-changing money, generational money. Follow it, folks. That's all it comes down to. Which team can pay the most? I got to get into something before I get off of here. I was going to get off of here, but then I remembered something that was bothering me the other day. I got into this Twitter beef with a guy. Look, y'all see the Packers Reggie White jersey hanging behind me. This guy tried to tell me if Aaron Rodgers wins the MVP this year, that Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. I said, I love Aaron Rodgers, but he is no GOAT. He's a great all-time player, generational player. But Thomas Brady is the GOAT. I said last time I checked, 7's better than 1. Even if Rodgers wins a Super Bowl this year, which I pray that he does, I hope that he does, still wouldn't be the GOAT. These kids out here, are saying GOAT like it's all willy-nilly and free. There's levels to this shit, homie. You play to win the game. The whole point of playing is to win championships. That's what you can. We list all the accolades and stats. You know what you circle around? You know what you big circle around? How many times they led their team to a championship? And it's very easy to do when you're a quarterback to do that, because there's no excuses. This guy was saying, well, Rodgers has been on worse teams. He's in this. Rodgers been to the playoffs just about as many times as Tom Brady has. Now, at times, the defense has let him down or this and that. But guess what? The defense was this year, and Aaron Rodgers only scored 7 fucking points, y'all. You give Brady that defense, they're probably going someplace. They've had about the same talented of receivers. It's Tom Brady. I said, and then he listed this guy listed about 20, 30 more players on multiple sports in the NBA. NBA is the easiest, because if you're a generational great talent, you get together with one or the two guys, we can see how good you are. There's levels to it. And he listed Patrick Ewing and this guy and that guy, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. He said none of these guys are can be considered the GOAT. No, there's only one goddamn GOAT. Those guys aren't even in the conversation as GOATs. It's Michael Jordan. That's the reason he's the GOAT, because he beat half the guys you listed. Are you kidding me? There's reasons why Wayne Gretzky's the GOAT. If Wayne Gretzky never won a Stanley Cup and he had all the records in the world, he wouldn't be considered the GOAT of hockey. You have to win. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. That's when the GOATs stand out, when the brights are the brightest. That's why Tom Brady's got 7 Super Bowls, folks. That's why he's the GOAT. He led 7 different teams to the title and won it. We're not even counting the games he's lost. That's what makes you the GOAT. You can be a great player. You can be a Hall of Fame player. Don't make you the GOAT. You want to consider LeBron James a GOAT? I'm okay. I'm okay with that, but I'm a Jordan purist, so I always say that 6-0 is better than anything that LeBron's ever done. But that's just me. But you can make a case for LeBron because he's got rings. But don't come here and tell me that Karl Malone is a GOAT. You guys, these kids out here are using GOAT too loosely. There can only be one GOAT. Now, you want to do GOAT positions? I'm okay with that. But guess what? You still got to fucking win. Tim Duncan's the GOAT of the power forwards. You know why? Because he has 5 NBA finals, not Karl Malone, who has 0. 5's greater than 0. Do the math. The guy would have said, hey, Aaron Rodgers is probably the best thrower of the football. That's possibly true. Doesn't make him the go to the QB. Doesn't make him the go to the NFL. You have to win. There's a reason people say Emmitt Smith is better than Walter Payton and Barry Sanders because he's got three Super Bowls. He was on a hell of a lot better teams, but at the end of the day, he got the job done. He was on the teams that got jobs done. You play to win the game. That's the whole point. It's to win in finals, Super Bowls, World Series, and everything else. There's a reason people say Clayton Kershaw was never the GOAT because there was a knock on him because he never got it done in the postseason. He always struggled in the postseason. Had he not won these last couple World Series, he'd still be in that position. And really, he still kind of is because he hasn't been the ace that he was at one time or another. So you got to win. That's the whole point, folks. The guy was literally making me argue against my own team. Talking about the Packers, and he's a big Packers fan, trying to tell me Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Get out of here. I'm a Packers fan, and I'm telling you that's not the truth. Tom Brady's the GOAT. And then if you want to make a case for Joe Montana, I'm okay with that. Or Peyton Manning, I'm okay with that. But 7's still the greater number. 7. Tom Brady will be the GOAT for a football for a long time because I don't see another guy coming along winning 7. I mean, people try to anoint Patrick Mahomes real early, real quick. Guess what? It's going to take a long time to get to 7. A lot of luck, a lot of health. We'll see. Anyway, we'll be back on tomorrow morning with our UFC 276 pre-show. Kenny and Craig are joining me. We'll be making our picks, breaking down the fights, talking about who we think's going to win, what's going to happen. We'll be breaking that down, talking about all UFC 276. We'll also be talking a little John Jones, maybe. And then we'll be back on Sunday as well. Busy weekend. We'll be back on Sunday morning as well, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Catch us any of those two times for our UFC 276 post show. Also tomorrow, I'll be on Let's Talk Sports, so make sure you check that out as well. Get over to the Sports Buffoons page. We got a show coming Monday. Buffoons and Bodkins, or it might be Bodkins and the Buffoon. I think we're changing that name. So make sure you hitting there, subscribe. Big announcement tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow if you're watching. Big announcement tomorrow. We got a big announcement coming tomorrow as well on our UFC 276 pre-show. Big announcement. So tune in tomorrow. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button on the YouTube. If you're watching on anything other than YouTube, please go over to the YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. Hit the, but we hope to see everybody in the YouTube comment section tomorrow. UFC pre-show 276. Probably we're looking at 6:30, 7 a.m. We'll get started somewhere in those time frames. So, big announcement coming tomorrow morning from the Bodkin Show. Big announcement. So join us tomorrow. We'll catch y'all later. Y'all have a good Friday. We'll see you in the morning.